Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Once in America, when an American disciple and lady came to Swami Vivekananda for the first time, she records how he looked at her sorrowfully and said, "If only you know yourself as you truly are." Now that's the voice of Vedanta. That's what Vedanta is saying to us. If only we know ourselves as we truly are, the claim is all our problems would be solved once for all, once forever. Now, Krishna, when he starts talking to Arjuna, the whole of the Gita has 18 chapters. The first chapter, of course, being Arjuna's depression yoga. But the other 17 chapters are Krishna's teachings primarily, interspersed with comments and questions by Arjuna. In the second chapter, Krishna teaches whatever he has to teach. In fact, the essence of the Gita, the whole of the Gita teachings are there in the second chapter of the Gita. And the remaining 16 chapters, which succeed the second chapter, are supplements. They all mostly arise because Arjuna asks a question. But they are more like explanations of what has already been taught. And what is taught in the second chapter? Precisely this, as I said, Atma Jnana, the knowledge of the self, the true self, what we really are. What we really are as Brahman. Now, in the second chapter, which forms the essence of the Gita, there are important verses, but it is the 16th verse which we shall concentrate upon this afternoon, today in this retreat, in this talk. The 16th verse of the second chapter. That's what I call the heart of the Bhagavad Gita. It is truly the philosophical heart of the Bhagavad Gita. As we go into it, you will see it seems awfully abstract. But yet, as we begin to appreciate what it's talking about, there's nothing more real than it, because it's just talking about reality itself. 16th verse of the second chapter talks about the nature of reality itself. It's highly philosophical, yet it forms the basis of all practice that is to follow after that. So it's essential to get a grasp on it. Now, in Vedanta, the ultimate reality, your real nature, has most famously been described as Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Existence, consciousness, bliss. And after many decades of Vedantic teaching, these words are actually, the original Sanskrit words are becoming more common. Recently in New York, I was called to give an interview on one of these internet podcasts. And the name of the podcast is Chit Heads. Chit Heads. Consciousness heads. So I became a chit head for a while. Now, the nature of Brahman can be studied as this. In Upanishad, it's talked about as pure existence. It is talked about as pure consciousness. Often in my talks, I use this. You know, the seer and the seen, the Drig Drishya, many of you have seen it already. The Kena Upanishad. Many of the approaches in Vedanta are based on pure consciousness, but also Ananda as bliss. Now, in this verse which we are going to study, Brahman as Sat, as pure existence. All three are the same, and all of them are you. They are all one thing, and that's your inner reality. But here in this verse particularly, the emphasis is on Sat. Sat means the truth, what is real, what exists, or what is existence itself. It's called pure existence. So we shall look at that. And the verse is based on Brahman as Sat, on you as pure being, as pure existence itself. What does it mean? What does pure existence mean? Is there an impure existence? And all those questions. And how do we know ourselves as that? All those will come up. Now, let me read out the verse, give you the meaning, and then we will go into it. The verse goes like this. Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtwanta, stvanayos tattvadarshibhi. What does it mean? The unreal never comes into existence, and the real never goes out of existence. These two, the real and the unreal, have been properly ascertained by the knowers of reality. Let me repeat. The unreal never comes into existence, and the real never goes out of existence. These two, the real and the unreal, have been properly ascertained by the knowers of reality. That's what we are aiming to be, knowers of reality. So what do we have to ascertain? We have to ascertain what is real and what is unreal with regard to the world and with regard to ourselves. Let me set the context for this verse. What has been going on till now, just before this, how do we withstand suffering? That's the discussion which is going on till now. And Krishna says, you just have to withstand, because suffering is caused by the contact of the senses with the objects. Heat, cold, contact of the skin with the temperature, or success or failure, contact of the mind with the happenings of our life, insult or praise. Suffering and pleasure, they are caused by our contact with the world and the reactions within us. And these cannot be prevented. The only thing that you can do is you can withstand them with dignity and with serenity. I'm again reminded of the documentary which I saw about Viktor Frankl. He says that what can give us meaning? He's all about finding meaning in life. So what can give us meaning? He says work can give you meaning. Your work, what you do in life, that can give you meaning. It can. Love can give you meaning very deeply. It can. But suppose nothing is available, everything finally drops away. You know, we are either sick or unhappy, diseased or dying, whatever. Then work, love, all of these seem to disappear in life. And life becomes a sort of unremitting suffering. He says, suffering born with serenity and dignity can lend meaning to life. Suffering, if you bear the suffering with dignity and serenity, that itself can give a kind of deep spiritual meaning to life. He says the locus of meaning is actually not in work or in love. It is within yourself, the reality that you are. So that's his position. Now the question arises, how do we bear suffering? How do we go through life, its ups and downs, its vicissitudes, with serenity? On what basis? Where does one stand? What is permanent? What is real? What will not betray us? This is the answer. In this context, Krishna teaches this 16th verse of the 2nd chapter. There is a reality which never disappears. In contrast to that, everything else in the world is unreal, really never comes into existence. These two should be understood. Simple enough to sound, it sounds very cool, but when we actually investigate it, the depths are profound. And Shankaracharya writes 1, 2, 3, pages of closely written, dense commentary in Sanskrit, which I intend to take us through in today's class, in this talk. Before we go into it, what is going to happen from now till the end of this session is one thought. Ourselves, you as pure existence. It's just that one truth, and we will try to understand it. So because it's sustained in a single thought, it's like one single argument. We must understand it and we must see it, actually learn to look at it and see that yes, it is so. And how it helps us, we'll see towards the end and in the next talk tomorrow in the morning. But first of all, this is the core of the entire retreat. So please follow carefully, attend. I will introduce the central thinking of the verse, and then we will go into the commentary. I will read from the original Sanskrit. Don't worry about the Sanskrit. Even if you don't understand one word of Sanskrit, it's more for my ease of thinking. I'm using it as a support. And for you, it's nice to listen to the sound of the original Sanskrit. All you need to know is the simple English which will follow after the Sanskrit. All right. So now let's take up two concepts. First, effects and causes. You see, for example, this table, this lectern is made of wood. Now, one way of speaking about it is, I just said the lectern is made of wood. A more philosophical way of speaking about it would be, the lectern is an effect of which the wood is the material cause. Wood is, basically what I'm saying is, the wood is the material out of which this lectern is made. Now the point to be understood here is that the lectern has no existence apart from the wood. If you took all the wood out of this, it would disappear. All the waves in the ocean just there, the Pacific there on the waterfront there, all the waves, they are effects whose cause is, material cause is water. It's basically water which is appearing as the waves. Now, so just keep this in mind, effect and cause. One kind of cause is a material cause, the substance out of which the effect is made. And the effect has no existence apart from its material. So if it's just made of wood, this lectern has no existence apart from the wood. If a gold ornament is just made of gold, the ornament has no existence apart from the constituent gold. And the waves in the ocean, they're all made of water. So though they look different and they do different things, a tsunami wave does one thing, a surf on the top of the wave does something else, and so on. But they're all made of water, and they have no existence apart from the water which constitutes the waves. So the effects have no existence apart from the constituting material. Now, based on this, I would like to make up an interesting point. Things have essential or intrinsic properties and incidental or accidental properties. Properties which are sometimes there, sometimes not there. Those are incidental, extrinsic, accidental. And there is something that is essential to it, which is there, which the thing retains as long as the thing exists. That may sound very vague. A simple example will make matters clear. Suppose you are boiling a potato. You're boiling a potato. And to the touch, the potato will appear. It will be a hot potato because it's being boiled. But if I ask you the heat of the potato, is it intrinsic to the potato? Is it always a hot potato? No, it's not. It was in the refrigerator, it was very cold. Now, because it's in the boiling water, it's hot. Where did it get its heat from? The heat does not belong to it. It was not there earlier, it came. That heat has been borrowed by the potato, so to speak, from the boiling water. Right? So the heat is not intrinsic or essential to the potato. It's a borrowed property, an accidental, incidental, borrowed, let's use the word borrowed property. The sign of a borrowed property is it comes and goes. Just like borrowed money. Somebody said, Swami, today you cannot make out who's rich and who's not rich. They're all living on credit. So they may have all the fancy things, but they may not be very rich at all. So it's borrowed wealth. In the same way, a borrowed property, but one way you can trace that it's a borrowed property is at one time it was not there, and a time will come it will be lost. Just like borrowed wealth. It comes and it goes. That potato, it was not hot. Now it's hot. Later on, when you serve it and keep it out on the dining table, it will again become cool after some time. Showing the heat was borrowed. From what? From the boiling water. Now, is the water inherently hot? Is it borrowed or is it intrinsic to the water? It is borrowed because it was cool. But when you put it on the saucepan and you lit the stove, the electric range beneath it, it became hot. Now it started boiling. It will again become cool after some time. So it loses the heat. It gained the heat and it lost it. Where did it borrow it from? You'll say the saucepan. Is the saucepan intrinsically hot? No, it also got its heat from the stove where the fire was. So the fire lent its heat to the saucepan, and the saucepan lent its heat to the water, and the water to the potato. All of this, the potato, this water, and the saucepan have all borrowed heat from the fire. Now, is the fire intrinsically hot? Yes. As long as the fire lasts, common sense, as long as it lasts, it's hot. Heat is an intrinsic property of fire. Why? Because there's never a time when fire was cold, and there never will be a time when the fire will lose its heat. It was not that fire was cold and it borrowed heat from some time and now it's hot, again it will become cold after some time. No. As long as the fire remains, it will be hot. Showing thereby, heat is an intrinsic property, not a borrowed property of fire. I read in a newspaper once in Siberia that heavy snowstorms and the plane got stuck, and the people had to come and they actually asked the passengers to get down and push the plane. It was in the newspapers. And then finally they had to apply some kind of heat and then it melted the thing. So the snow is terribly cold, but even in Siberia the fire was hot because it was able to melt the snow. So fire is intrinsic heat because it does not lose that heat, neither gains it. So what, you may ask? Now let me put this question to you. Use this example. Heat is the property, and the potato and the water and the saucepan and the fire are the things which have heat. Some of them have borrowed it, some of them the fire has it intrinsically. Suppose a thing has existence as its intrinsic property. Suppose a thing has existence itself, being. Suppose something has being as a borrowed property. What will happen to that thing? Remember, borrowed properties come and go. So if something has borrowed existence from something else, then what will happen to it? It will lose existence, it will lose the property. Whatever is borrowed is lost. If something loses existence, what will happen? It will perish, it will die, it will go out of existence. If something gains existence, what happens to it? It's born, it comes into existence, it's created. You say it's produced, it's created, it's born. So gaining existence means birth or creation or production. losing existence means death or destruction or perishing. Anything which is born and it exists and it again dies has borrowed existence. It does not have existence of its own. And in fact, when you look around the world, everything is like that. Just about everything, including our own bodies, including our own thoughts. They come into being and then they disappear. They're born, they seem to exist for some time and then they disappear. You see? Think about anything here that is permanently there. No. Everything is born, exists and disappears. Showing thereby, in terms of the discussion we are having, all the things in this universe must have borrowed existence. Must have borrowed existence. In terms of cause and effect, which we just spoke about, they are all effects, because effects borrow their existence from the cause. Just like the table has borrowed its existence from the wood, the water, the waves in the ocean have borrowed their existence from the constituting water. The ornaments made of gold have borrowed their existence from the gold. So causes borrow their existence from the effect. The effects borrow their existence from the cause. The effects borrow their existence from the cause. Because then you will see all the effects, they come into being, they seem to be, and then they disappear back again. The waves come into being, they seem to be, and then they disappear back again. Everything, all effects, they are born of their causes, they exist in their causes, and they disappear back into the cause. That bears repetition. All things are born from causes, exist in their causes, and disappear back into the causes. And we are allowed to speak like this because they derive existence from their causes. If something does not borrow existence, but inherently, intrinsically, by its very own nature, has existence, like fire has existence, fire has heat inherently. If something has existence inherently, intrinsically, what will happen to it?
Disappear.
It will?
Always exist.
Yes, but it isn't.
It will get right.
Yes, it will always exist. It will always exist. It will never gain existence or lose existence. It will never come into existence by gaining existence. It will never die by losing existence, because its inherent nature is existence. So make this difference. That's one point. The second point is, again, back to causes and effects. Think of a pot, a clay pot. When you examine a clay pot, when you see the top of it, you see it's clay. When you see the bottom of it, you see it's clay. When you see outside, it's clay. When you see inside, it's clay. In fact, in a clay pot, you will not find anything except clay. Is that true?
Yes.
Inside, outside, nothing except, if you weigh the clay pot, it's the weight. I mean, for practical purposes, you may ignore the weight of the water which went into making the clay and all that. But when you weigh the clay pot, it's the weight of the clay. When you touch the clay pot, it's the clay you're touching. So when I touch this, what do I say? Touch wood. I don't say touch lectern. Recognizing thereby all of it is just wood. All of this. The point I'm making here is, the effect has no existence outside its cause. There is no pot other than the clay. There is no pot independent of the clay. When you look at a clay pot, it is not that there are two things, clay and pot. If you say there's clay and pot, I'll say, I'll take the clay, show me the pot. You cannot. There is no real second thing apart from the clay in a clay pot. In terms of our effects and causes, we say that the effect is not a real thing apart from the cause. Effect is not a real thing apart from the cause. Effect is not a second thing apart from the cause. You cannot count two things. In a clay pot, can you count? Here is one thing, clay, and here's another thing, pot, 1 and 2. You cannot. You cannot. Once you count the clay, you have counted everything. Right? So the effect is not a second real thing apart from the cause. So we have made 2 points here. Effects have no inherent existence. Their existence depends on the cause. In Advaitic language, in the language of non-dualism, the cause is called real and the effect is called an appearance. The reality is the clay and the pot is an appearance thereof. Are you with me so far? It is the clay alone with a new shape and a name and a function which you call a pot. It is the water alone with a new shape and a name and a function which you call a wave, or surf, or bubbles, or a tsunami wave. Isn't that true? There are no two things there. Really speaking, it's water. Really speaking, this is wood. Really speaking, the ornament gold ornament which you're wearing is gold. Really speaking. When you say the word really speaking, because that's what you're counting. Without that, without the clay, no pot, you cannot count it. Without the wood, no lectern. That's one conclusion we come to. Without the cause, no effect. Effect is not a second thing apart from the cause. In Vedantic language, cause real, effect appearance. Another name for appearance, false. The Sanskrit name for false, mithya. The Sanskrit name for real, satyam. Effect, cause, satyam, effect, mithya. What they'll go on to prove is Brahma Satyam, Brahman or Sat alone is real, and the world, which is an effect of this, is an appearance of this Sat. I'll repeat, what we're going to show is the ultimate reality, the only reality is pure being, and everything else in this universe appears to exist. They are all effects of that pure being, apparent effects. They seem to exist, but apart from pure being, nothing does exist actually. That's what we'll try to prove. That's one point. And the second point is the effects always are, they born, they exist and they disappear. They do not have inherent existence. They keep disappearing. They keep coming into existence and disappearing. That which continuously exists is the ultimate cause, pure being, which continuously goes on because it has existence as its inherent nature. That may sound awfully abstract, but that's nothing compared to what's going to happen now. We have not even started with Shankaracharya. Now, with this background, we're going to start with Shankaracharya. Remember, the context is nothing very abstract. The context is, how do I withstand suffering in my life? How do I live my life, the ups and downs of life with serenity and calmness? What will give me that peace, that strength? What is the permanence within me? Like that cancer patient asked, is there something within me which the cancer has not touched? Can I find something that the world cannot disturb or destroy? That's what we're trying to seek. Okay. Now, for the purposes of this talk, the entire thing that will follow with Shankaracharya, we just go straight to the master. What he's going to say, I have condensed it into 7 points. Already you have the materials with which to work. You've already got the points. Now we'll just based on what we just said, we will go ahead. I'll read the Sanskrit, translate for you and discuss for a while and go on to the next point. He says, that is Shankaracharya, commenting on the 16th verse of the 2nd chapter. He says, Nahi shitoshnadi sakaranam pramanehi nirupyamanam vastu sambhavati. All the experiences of our life cold and heat and success and failure and praise and insult and health and disease, none of these, when you examine them, can be taken as really existing. Why not? Why not? Keep in the background what I said about effects and causes. He says, Vikaro hisa, because they are all effects. You begin to see the link between what I was saying and what's happening now. He says they are all effects. We ask, what do you mean they are all effects? Vikara cha vebicharati yatha gatadi samsthanam chakshusha nirupyamanam mrityatirekena anupalabdhehe asat tatha sarvo vikara karana vyatirekena anupalabdhe asan. He says here, all effects are subject to appearance and disappearance. Look at life. Just like he says, look at a pot, a clay pot, example which we used. You cannot ascertain its existence apart from the constituent clay. He says, Chakshusha nirupyamanam, look at it, touch it. Whatever you are seeing, whatever you are touching, mridvyatirekana, this is other than clay. What else is there? What else are you looking at? When you look at this, are you looking at a table or a lectern or the wood? It's a lectern. So you're not looking at the wood? What is your eye? The light is reflecting of something and coming to your eye. What is the light reflecting of, a lectern or the wood? The wood, actually. Somebody might say, no, both. Lectern and the wood. Really, both? Can you show them separately? You cannot. Then why are you justified in using the word both? Literally, it's an illusion created by language and usage. Yeah. That it's only wood here. Nothing else. Just not one little bit else. There is no thing called a table or lectern apart from the wood. Similarly, he says, if you examine a clay pot, there is nothing there except the clay. Mrityatirekena anupalabdhe. You do not see anything. You do not perceive anything there except the clay. And asat, he says, that is what I call false, an appearance. It's an illusion created by the name and the form, by language and our perception. There is a thing called a pot. You say, but Swami, there's a pot. I can show you a pot if you want. You can only show me the material out of which the pot is made. It looks like a pot, it talks like a pot and behaves like a pot and does pot-like things, but in a sense, it's only the material. It might be a brass pot or a clay pot. It's just a thing, the constituent material. So what? What do I have to do with clay and pots and so on? He says, Sarvo vikara karana vyatirekena anupalabdhehe. Everything in this universe, what you experience, they are all effects, and they do not exist apart from their constituent causes. The Buddhists put it nicely. If I show you this, what is this? You will say it's a fist. But if I open this, where is the fist now? The Buddhist says the fist is nothing but an particular arrangement of the constituent fingers. Rearrange the fingers. I have not removed a single thing. The fist has disappeared. There is no such thing as a fist other than the fingers which you have arranged in a particular arrangement. He said, okay, so what? Even the fingers themselves, they are particular arrangements of cells and tissues. Right? Apart from that, there's no such thing as a finger. And the tissues themselves of cells, and cells themselves of subcellular structures, and so on. Therefore, nothing in the world is as it seems to be. They are all nothing apart from their constituent causes. There is no effect apart from the constituent cause. In Vedantic language, the cause is real, the effect is false. But every cause has its own cause also. Like the fist has its cause, the 5 fingers arranged in a particular way. But each finger also has its cause, the tissues inside. And the tissues have their cause too, the cells inside. And so on, down and down and down. Are we going to end up with nothing? Though the world appears, we'll see. So that's one point, the point which we have already made. Effects have no existence apart from the cause, and such a situation we are calling the cause real, effect false. And everything in the world is an effect. False means in Sanskrit, mithya. So what they are saying is Jagat mithya. The universe is an appearance. Why is the universe an appearance? Because everything that you take up in the universe is made of a cause, and apart from the cause, it's not there. You see, okay, the cause exists. No, that cause has its cause too. You see, this, we're talking about this table, this lectern. You're saying the lectern has no existence apart from the wood. Okay? But the wood also has no existence apart from the earth element constituting it. The earth element has also no existence apart, if you believe in modern, if you are in modern physics, if you go around that way, the constituent atoms. The constituent atoms have no existence apart from the constituent subatomic particles. And down, even go further down, the quarks, the superstrings, further and further down. The higher structures have no existence apart from their underlying causes. This is what is meant by in Vedanta as Jagat Mithya. It seems to be a real thing, but when you examine it, it has no existence apart from its underlying cause. And the underlying cause has no existence from its underlying cause, and so on. One point. Second point, already we have done this. Janma pradhvangsabhyam prag urdhvam chanupalabdhe. None of these effects are available, are seen before their creation and after their destruction. Remember, borrowed existence means that it'll come into existence and it'll disappear out of existence. Borrowed heat, it becomes hot, then cools down. Borrowed wealth, become rich, and then you lose your wealth. Borrowed existence means it comes into existence and disappears out of existence. It's born and it dies. If it's born and it dies, it means they do not have intrinsic existence. Are you with me so far? Yes. Anything that has intrinsic existence will neither be born nor will it die. All things in the world are born and they die. Mountains and little ants and our own bodies, our thoughts and ideas and memories, everything comes into existence and disappears. Some in a fraction of a second, some in millions of years. Rabindranath Tagore, in one of his Gitanjali poems, he says, when a leaf drops away from, a dry leaf drops from a tree and falls into a pond, it sets into motion ripples, faint ripples. It is the same ripples which are moving out among the stars and galaxies. The ripples of change and destruction, of death. So all things come to an end. Anything that begun, jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. The Gita says, that which is born, death is certain of that. Death is certain of that which is born. In our philosophical discussion, what does it mean? It means then in that case, those things do not have intrinsic existence. They have only borrowed existence because they came into existence and they disappeared. And we see all of these effects, they are borrowed existence because they come into existence and they disappear. In which case, they are, in our language, not real. They are appearances of some underlying reality. Second point. Now, doubt, this is the way Shankaracharya writes. He will pose a question which is already coming in our mind. When I talk about the fist being nothing but the fingers, and the fingers being nothing but the tissues, and the tissues being nothing but the cells being nothing but subcellular structures, and so on, down to, from biology to chemistry to physics and subnuclear physics, Is the whole universe going to disappear into nothingness? Smaller and smaller and smaller into nothingness. Nothing that exists and nothing that has in our language inherent existence. Is all of it borrowed existence? But we know from economics and from everything else that everybody cannot borrow. There must be somebody who was the initial lender. Somewhere that you got the bank. It may be the federal bank or something. Somewhere like fire is the one which lent its heat to the saucepan, to the water, to the potato. They all borrowed it, but it started with the fire. In the universe, does nothing have inherent existence? All things are nothing, just appearances? That's the question he asks. If everything has a cause, you're saying that which has a cause is not really there. Effects are not really there. Causes are real. But the causes also have their own cause. So in that case, there's an endless chain and everything in the universe has no real existence. So it all disappears into blankness. That's the question. Mridadi karanasya tat karanasya cha tat karana vyatireken anupalabdhe asatvam dadasatve cha sarva bhava prasanga iti chet. He says, pot has no real existence. It's the clay which has existence. But the clay has no real existence. Its cause, the earth element, has existence. But the earth element has no real existence. Its cause has existence. And so on, if you go on and on and on, everything becomes an appearance. And then he says, Sarva Bhava. Then nothing really exists. Is that what you're trying to say? Now we go into the third point. Shankaracharya makes a very important distinction here. This is where he actually points out Brahman in our own existence. Right now, that you are experiencing Brahman, let's see. He says, no, na, sarvatra buddhi dvaya upalabdhehe, sadbuddhi asadbuddhi iti chet. Let me explain this. Every experience that we have, Shankaracharya makes a very important point here. Every experience we have of the world, everywhere, actually has two aspects. We look at only one aspect and we continuously miss the other aspect. But we are experiencing two aspects in every experience. What are the two aspects of every experience? Experience of name and form, experience of existence. Look at this. When I look out here, I see man exists. Woman is. The fan is. The house is. And when I look outside, the city is. The ocean is, and so on. Everything that we experience as existing, right? When you look at your neighbor, you don't only see a person, you see the person existing. It's so logical and it's so natural that we never even think about it. But Shankaracharya says, look at your experiences. All your experiences have a dual aspect. One is of a name and form, of something. And the other one is the existence of that something, is the being of that something. It's a very subtle point, but very simple also. Every experience, just look around. What happens to us is, we take this for granted because it's sort of boring and it never changes. And this is interesting. It changes all the time. And so we look at this. And this becomes our life, samsara. What is your life? There are men and women, and there is money, and there are houses and cars, and there is happiness and misery, and there are things to do. All of this, samsara. This is samsara. But underlying all of that is this. Is. Now he points out this experience, man, woman, fan, house, city, ocean, whatever you are experiencing, this is subject to change. This is subject to change. Continuously changing. But the existence of these things never changes. If you consider it separately from the thing itself, there is a sense of being. Consider it this way. A mirror. If I hold up a mirror here, it will show me many things. It will show me the people and the chairs and the books there and this hall. And after some time it will show me the hall is empty and the people are gone and the chairs may be removed. All of that is appearing in the glass, which is the mirror. What is constant in all of this? The mirror itself, the glass itself. And in fact, I will say, in the mirror, the only reality is the mirror. Everything else is an appearance in that glass. In the same way, consider the isness, the pure being, to be the mirror in which the universe appears. So, sort of trying to wrap your mind around it. Vedanta is telling you, you are that isness. You are that isness. All of these, this entire universe has no independent existence apart from you, the pure isness. It is your being which is borrowed. Everything here, what you experience, has borrowed experience. Everything in the mirror has borrowed its experience in the... I'm not talking about the things outside. I'm talking about the reflections in the mirror. Every reflection in the mirror has borrowed its existence from the mirror. Everything that you experience in the world, you experience as existing. And yet, where is this being? What is this being? Vedanta insists that it's you. You are the being from which is borrowed the existence of everything. You may have many questions. You're saying that, what do you mean? Suppose I die. Suppose I die. Everything else goes on existing. How can it borrow its existence from me? But then you immediately see the fallacy of this question. When I die, what do I mean when I die? When I die, the body dies. This particular body dies. I'm not saying that you are the body. I'm saying you are the being, the existence, very isness of this universe. So Shankaracharya points out here, Sarvatra dve buddhi sarve upalabhyete samanadikarane. In every experience, everybody experiences two things. A changing object of experience and an unchanging isness. And Vedanta says that unchanging isness is your real nature. It's like, let's take the example of the wave and the water. When you go out on the waterfront there in San Diego, on the waterfront ocean there, you see thousands of waves in the Pacific Ocean. And imagine now a little wave which is born out there in the distance in the Pacific Ocean. And it's created, remember, it's an effect. What's the cause? Water. It comes up as a little wave. And the little wave is happy. It has other little waves to play with, and it's fun and being a wave, and it's rushing around on the surface of the Pacific Ocean. It's fun being a wave. But then soon problems appear. How? That other wave is mean to me. This wave is nice. It's friendly to me. Some are my friends and some are not so nice to me. And look at that wave. Wow, it's a tsunami wave. I'm such a loser compared to it. It's so big. And that other wave, it's a bubble. It's just a loser compared to me. I'm much better than. Envy, contempt, likes and dislikes. All of these crop up. And this is all born of separation from each other. Not only that, the real problem of being a wave comes up. What's that? Somebody next to it, another wave says, that's San Diego. What's happening there? You're just going to go there and die. You hit San Diego and you die. Die? Yes. That's what happens. That's the destiny of all waves. We reach the shore and we die. Oh my God, I don't want to die. Death, birth and death and difference and envy and contempt and friendship and enmity, all of samsara, the wave samsara becomes its problem. Now a Vedantic wave comes along next to it and says, look, you are not really a wave. The reality in you is something called water. It's within you, it's on top of you, it's everywhere around you, and all of us are that water. And that little wave thinks, where is water? I mean, I can see I'm a wave, here's another wave, and all these are waves and surf and bubbles, but where is this water? And finally it begins to realize what is meant by water. Once it realizes what water is, it says, oh, I am water appearing as a wave. Oh, that's great. And then what happens? All these other guys, they're also water. And they are me. Because once I realize myself as water, I'm not limited to this particular wave. I'm all of them. I'm the entire ocean. In fact, all the waves depend on the water. The entire ocean depends on the water. It's the water which appears as the ocean and all the little waves. I'm in all of them. How can I be contemptuous of a bubble? Because it's me. I'm water coming as a little bubble. Why do I have to be jealous of the tsunami wave? It's me. It's me as water. I'm all of this. Not only that, when I go and finally dash against San Diego, I'm not dead. The wave form disappears. I become spray. What fun! I become bubbles, and I might become water vapor rising up into the sky by the sunlight, and so on. So let's not extend that example any further. But you see, the moment the wave realizes itself as water, in one sense, all of its problems are solved. Though it continues, the wave still continues, being a wave, and will go on up to a certain distance. It will be just a wave. But it realizes itself as one with everything else. Now this pure existence, what Vedanta says, you shift your identification into the isness within you. Everything can be stripped away from us. Wealth, power, people, health, youth, memory. Is there something that is not touched? I still am. In spite of all of this, I am the isness which appeared as a young person. I am the isness which is appearing as an old person now. You say, no, Swami, it's still nicer to be a young person. But you are the isness in all of the young persons and all of the old persons and all of the non-persons and the animals and birds and all of that. The one isness, you have to try to shift your awareness to that. That's what Shankaracharya is speaking about here. He says, Tayo buddheyo ghatadi buddhi vyavicharati tatha cha darshitam natu sad buddhi. Among these experiences, all the time, the experience of these objects keeps on changing, but the experience of isness does not change. So, there must be something in us corresponding to that experience of isness which does not change. I am the one unchanging Sat, infinite existence. That's what's meant by infinite. It's not cut off by time. It does not begin or end. Because this pure existence is inherent existence. It's not borrowed from anything else. Everything else borrows existence from this inherent existence. I remember this Swami who was teaching us Vedanta in the Himalayas. He had an operation in the stomach. He was quite old. And after the operation, he came up, then he was sitting for the class. The first time he came for the class. And we were other Swamis sitting around his feet. It was in Haridwar, at the foothills of the Himalayas. And the moment he sat down, he was bare-bodied. We could see his whole body was covered in a sheen of sweat. So there was some pain inside. somebody else said, Swami, you don't have to take the class, you don't have to give a class now, you can go and rest. And then the Swami told a story. He said, look, long ago in a village, there was this old woman who lived by herself, and she had a little vegetable patch which she cultivated, and there were birds which would come and try to eat the vegetables, and she would bang a tin box to scare the birds away. One day a camel came there, an old camel came there and started eating the vegetables. And the woman rushed out and banged the tin in front of the camel, and the camel, of course, it could speak. So the camel said, woman, in my time, I was a war camel. In Rajasthan and all, you see their camels were used for war time in medieval times. Even now, I think the army has a camel corps. So, I was a war camel, and big drums were beaten on my back. So I was used to a tremendous amount of noise. Do you think I'm going to be afraid of your little tin box? And then the Swami said, I am that existence on whose back universes are created and universes are dissolved. Am I going to be upset by a little stomachache? No, we will have the class. And so he went on. So this transition, I'll talk more about it later. This is the third point I wanted to make. Now the fourth point. I'll sum up all of these later on. An interesting fact. The reality, existence, is not a part of this universe or part of these objects. What do I mean by that? If you look at this table, or look at a conventional table, it has a top and 4 legs, right? If you say, what are the parts of the table? If you say, the parts are, well, 1, it has a top, 2, 3, 4, 5, it has 4 legs. So it has 5 parts, 4 legs and a top. This is a bare minimum of a table. And if you add, no, there's one more thing. The wood which constitutes the table, that's the 6th part of the table. There are the 4 legs and the top and the wood. Is that a correct way of thinking? No, it is not. Why is it not? Because all the parts you just mentioned, they're all made of the wood. The wood is not another part of a table. Right? So in the same way, this pure existence is not a part of this universe. It's the reality in which the universe with all its parts appears. It's not, why this is important is, it's not that, if you ask, who am I? It's not that I am a body, I am a mind, and maybe now the Swami is talking about a pure existence. I have a third thing called a pure existence. No. Pure existence is not a part of a system which you are. You are the pure existence in which the body, mind, and the universe appear. A good way of understanding this is a dream. When we fall asleep and start dreaming, in our dream thousands of things are there. There are people, there are animals, there are things which are happening, some things are good, some things are bad, and so on. There's a whole drama which is happening. Of the thousands and millions of things in the dream, people and animals and things in the dream, is the dreamer one of those things? The dreamer may have a body in the dream, a dream body and playing a dream role. But the real dreamer who is lying on the bed and sleeping, is he or she part of the dream? No. He or she is the reality which is projecting that dream. In the same way, we are this pure existence which is projecting the dream of this universe within ourselves. You may think this is too abstract to become real. It's not just the other way around. This is the reality in which the whole universe is an abstraction. What Vedanta is saying is, you are this already. And there are actually practical methods which are useful for appreciating this. We shall see in the guided meditation today in the evening how these are converted, this whole philosophy is converted into a system of meditation which enables us to dwell on the pure isness within ourselves. So it says, pure existence is not a part of what you are. It's the reality, and it's that which lends reality to the entire universe with all its constituent parts. So it's the background reality of everything. Now, a quick exchange takes place. Somebody asks a question. Ghate nashte ghatabuddho vyabhicharantyam sadbuddhi api vyabhicharati iti chet. Question. Just a minute. If I smash the pot, your favorite pot, so not only is the pot broken, but the existence of the pot is also gone. Now you say the pot does not exist. And then Shankaracharya says, na, patadav api sadbuddhi darshanat. He says, but no. The pot may be broken, but the existence continues in the table. You say the table exists. The person exists, the man exists, the woman exists, the chair. So existence continues in other things which are not broken. And even when the pot is broken, what do you have? Potsherds, broken pieces of pot. What will you say? The broken pieces of pot exist. Existence continues. Just the form has changed. When you destroy something, the name and the form changes. Existence is not lost. Existence continues. Now he asks a really deep question. Now we are going into the fifth point. A really deep question. Suppose, you see, the question which will come to our mind says, look, all this sounds very abstract. I know that things exist. Here are people, here are chairs and tables, things exist. But you keep talking about existence itself. Isn't that a play on words? Isn't that something, maybe at best a philosophical abstraction? Is it really real? What really seems to be real to us are things. Things exist. Here's a world of things, here's a body. I can even say here's a mind, I experience a mind and feelings. But the existence of all of this, can you really separately speak of existence apart from the things? Vedanta does the opposite. You see, Vedanta says, look how deluded we are. We are asking, there are tables made of wood, there are chairs made of wood, there are dishes and cups and plates and maybe a fan and everything made of wood. But is there really something called wood itself? What a foolish thing to ask. Vedanta says just the other way around. Vedanta says wood alone is the reality. You may just as well, you can actually better ask whether there's really something called a table, really something called a chair, really something called a fan or something made of wood apart from the constituent wood. That's how Vedanta looks at it. The wood is the thing which exists and it appears in all these ways. Existence alone is the thing which exists and it appears in various names and forms. Now, the question which is put here is, suppose all things are destroyed in the universe. Cosmic destruction. Big crunch. In the Hindu mythology, Hindu cosmology, it is called pralaya. Pralaya means the dissolution of the universe. So nothing exists, no thing exists anymore. Now when no thing exists, are you justified in talking about pure existence continuing somehow? Do you see? It's a very subtle question. He says, Sadbuddhirapi nashte ghate na drishyate. Alright, you say that when a pot is broken, the table exists and the chair exists. But the existence of that pot which was there earlier, that existence is gone. So existence can go out of existence. You can't say that existence is immutable. Here's a very subtle answer. The subtle answer is here. Shankaracharya says, no, existence does not disappear. It's only the perceptibility, the experienceability of the existence that goes out when the name and form is not available anymore. I'll repeat. When the name and form is not available anymore, when there is no thing to see, touch, hear, think about, then you cannot appreciate existence in itself. All things need existence to exist, need pure existence for their own existence. But pure existence also needs these things to be experienceable. How do you experience water? You experience water in a glass, in a bowl, in the ocean, as water vapor, in various names and forms. If no names and forms are there, it's very difficult to conceive of water nameless, formless in itself. And that's just for water. Imagine for pure existence. So what happens is, without names and forms, it becomes inconceivable. It becomes inexperienceable, but it continues to exist. It continues to exist. It's a bit like this place is full of light. Suppose I put my hand here. You can see light shining from my hand. You can see that? I remove it. It just seems to be empty space here. But isn't it full of light? You see? If I put my hand here and ask you, what are you seeing? You say hand. But I'm saying that you are also seeing the light reflected of the hand. When you remove the hand, you neither see the hand, but you don't see the light also which is here in this space. Similarly, pure existence, it lends itself so that the universe can exist, but also the universe makes pure existence experienceable. Do you see the beauty of the little story which I told earlier? When God wanted to play, there's nobody else God could play with. Now, because only God exists. Brahman only exists. Pure existence is the only thing that exists. Now, God did something very clever. God pretended not to be God. God pretended to be you and me and him and her. Pure existence, in order to experience itself, took on the garb of name and form. Man exists, woman exists, a fan exists, a house exists. The isness now appears as an existing universe. All of it at its heart is nothing but pure being, just names and forms. Right? Without these names and forms, you cannot experience Brahman, pure being. But with these names and forms, you have a wealth of a universe. You know what the problem is? The problem is, we see man, woman, child, house, mortgages, and all sorts of things in the world. We do not see the existence behind it. When you focus on the always available, never absent, pure existence, Sat, in all of your experiences, you are focusing on Brahman. You are focusing on God itself. It is this Sat, pure existence. If it's too difficult to wrap your mind around, Vedanta says, conceive of it as God. The God of religion. Okay, what is God like? Well, call it Vishnu. It has 4 arms and like this and that, and give it a form. No, I don't believe in God with form. Okay, it has no form. It has wonderful qualities. And you can pray to this. The bhakti approach. This is how dualistic religion comes out of non-dualism. Alright, so here it says, with names and forms, pure existence becomes the existence of things. Without names and forms, pure existence, you, pure being, you continue to exist, but you cannot experience yourself. Then, this is the 5th point. Then the 6th point I want to make is here. Okay, a very interesting question is asked. You are saying the real and the false are existing together. How is this possible? You're saying that this Sat pure existence alone is really real and everything else is an appearance, how can the false and the real coexist together? It's a logical problem. That which is and that which is not, how can they be together? It seems to be a little bit of a problem. The question is asked, and the answer is, idam udagam iti marityadyu anyatara bhave api samanarikaranya darshanat. He says, no, there's no problem with this. We always experience it in the case of illusions. For example, when you see water in a mirage, actually it's just sand and hot air there. There's no water. But in your experience, you're experiencing two things. The ground of that experience, though you don't recognize it, and the illusory water. The water which is not there and the desert which is there, both are experienced together. One which is real, one which is an appearance. When you see a snake in a rope, the classic Vedantic example, only one of them really exists and the other one does not. There's no snake there. It's just a rope, mistaken for a snake. Two things exist together. A false snake and a temporarily real rope. Yeah, because ultimately it's all Brahman. Right? A blue sky. The sky is there. Space. It's not really blue. It's a scattering of light which makes it look blue. But you can see the blue. Even after you understand basic school optics and look up there, you still see a blue sky. Especially in San Diego. You see the blue sky. The sky and the blueness which is not really there are seen together. Exactly like that, Vedanta claims this entire universe, you, the pure existence, are the only thing that really exists, and in you appears the name and forms of this vast universe. You are immortal. The body will die. The mind is continuously dying. Thoughts are coming and going. But you, the pure existence, which is also consciousness, it continues, unchanged and undiminished by the ages. The ages roll by over you. You are not a tiny spark of existence in a vast and uncaring universe. In fact, this vast and uncaring universe is tiny compared to you. It appears in you, this infinite ocean of existence. We'll see more in the meditation session later on today. Then he makes a comment here. We are coming to the 7th point. Because you, the pure existence, alone are real, everything else borrows its reality for you, then tasmat dehade dvandasya sakaranasya asato na vidyate bhavaha. Therefore, body, mind and universe, none of them are real because they borrow their existence from you. You alone are real because you have inherent existence, intrinsic existence, your own natural existence. You are Sat, pure existence. Are you making a claim here? No. What Shankaracharya is saying is every experience reveals this to us continuously. You have never experienced your creation, nor have you really ever experienced your destruction. One of our monks who was debating this old idea of reincarnation, in the Indian religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, all of them have this common belief in karma and reincarnation. Many, many births. You die and you're born again, and you die and you're born again. The body dies, but the subtle body continues from life to life to life. And in the Abrahamic religions, you have the idea of one birth. You're just created, and that's the end. When you die, that's the end, and it's not really the end. You wait for immortal life afterwards. Now, our monk was thinking about arguments in favor of reincarnation and against it. And finally, in the hermitage which he was saying in the Himalayas, the other monks got tired of this argumentation. and stopped listening to his arguments. So he went out of our hermitage to the next school. There's a school of Vedanta. And he went to the Vedanta master there, an old Swami, and said, Swami, look, here are the arguments against reincarnation. Let me tell you in Hindi and translate back into English. It works nicely in Hindi. It said about Punarjanma. Punarjanma means reincarnation, rebirth. And the Vedanta master there stopped him right there. He said, wait. Jab janma hi nahi to punarjanma kahe ka? When there is no birth at all, where is the question of rebirth? You as pure existence, you were never born. The body was born. It's an appearance within you. If in a mirror, many bodies are reflected one after another, is the mirror really born many times as different bodies? No, it's just the mirror in which all of these are appearing. And they depend on the mirror. The mirror doesn't depend on them. And the Swami said to our Swami, go and read the Mandukya Upanishad. And that Swami, our Swami told me, he was very irritated. You can't have a serious discussion with these non-dualists. They'll always push you back to Brahman and then solve the problem forever. One more point and I'm done. And really we are coming into this nice segue into the application of all of this. He says, Brahmano yathatmyam tadrashtum shilam yesham te tattvadarshina. You remember in the original verse there was this phrase, the seers of reality. Tattvadarshi, the seers of reality. He's explaining this. Those who have made it their second nature to see the pure existence in every experience, they are the seers of reality. He says here further, how do you experience the world now from this vantage point? Vikarayam asanneva marichi jalavat mithyava bhasate. All of these are effects. They are all appearances in me, the primal cause, as pure existence. They all borrow from me, their existence. They appear in me as water appears in a mirage. They do not exist. Even in me they do not exist, but they appear because of my existence. They means world, body, mind, thoughts, all of that. I am the existence in which all of this appears. The Vedanta, I'll give you a couple of stories and then end before we go to question and answers. How do you apply this? One Vedanta master whom I really liked, he passed away a few years ago in the Himalayas. He was a wandering monk, a traditional wandering monk, and people considered him to be enlightened. He didn't know much about modern science and technology. So when somebody showed him an X-ray, how it works, he was so excited. He was telling us, look, Swamis, here is this light which penetrates skin and flesh and blood and goes straight and takes a picture of the bones. Such should be the vision of a Swami, of a monk, of a seer of reality. Mahatma ki drishti aisi honi chahiye, he said in Hindi. Make your vision like that, like something like Superman, where you do not stop with the appearance, that it's a person with certain qualities, good, bad and all that. No, you see, the person is. Focus on the isness. Anything, it works. Pain. Don't focus on the pain, how awful it is. Is. Focus on the being on which the pain depends. You can try it. Disturbed mind. Oh, it's horrible. That person said such and such thing to me. Maybe he's right. I'm awful. All of those thoughts, don't deny them. Look at them. They are. Is. They all exist one after another. Look at the isness of all of them. The isness is common to all of them. Praise and blame, success and failure, health and sickness, birth and death, all come and depend on that one isness, which is always available to you in every experience. The Swami said, make your vision such that in every experience, make it a habit to concentrate on the isness rather on the form of the experience. One, you know what will happen? If you really try it, even for a short while, people have had this experience. It suddenly, for a moment, it's as if you're walking with your head down on the ground and seeing shadows and light and all that. Suddenly you look up, straight stare into the sun, blazing forth with an incredible brightness. You will come across your own glory, an immortal being consciousness which you are, reflected in everything that you experience, everywhere, all around you. You will sing with the seers of ancient time, Re Re Sarvam Brahmamayam Jagat. Oh, the entire world is filled with being, Brahman, which I am. I salute the glory that I am. Vivekananda would say with shocking rhetoric, he would say, Krishna and Christs and Buddhas are waves of the ocean that I am. Not Vivekananda, not that person Vivekananda. He meant that pure being, that absolute, which appears as so many waves in this ocean. Keep your vision on that. That is the practice. It works. It helps you to bear with inevitable ups and downs in the world of appearances. When you know the story about Hari Maharaj asking Sri Ramakrishna. Now you can also try it. How are you today, sir? And you're suffering from throat cancer, an awful form of cancer. You're dying of throat cancer. And Sri Ramakrishna said, it hurts, I cannot eat. And Hari, the young man who became Swami Turiyananda, he says, but I see that you are in great bliss. What a cruel thing to say to a dying cancer patient, you might say. And Sri Ramakrishna burst out laughing and he said, oh, the rascal has caught me out. The rascal has caught me out, has found me out. Yes. What's happening there? There is something available to him which he sees, which we do not. If I am there, cancer-ridden body, suffering, yes, it's suffering. But the isness behind it, no suffering there. Actually, it's possible. That same Turiyanandaji, in a later life, when he is in Benares, and he was suffering a lot of physical problems before he died. And then somebody asked him, are you suffering a lot, Swami? And he smiled and said, no. In Bengali, Thakur bhetorta borof kore diyechen. Sri Ramakrishna has made inside me is a mass of ice. It's this isness. It's completely cooling, without an air conditioner also. One unchanging mass of isness. Even there you see the isness. You see? Is. Immediately you settle into that calmness. Another example, Swami Shivananda, when he was in Benares, Swami Shivananda, he was suffering from asthma and could not sleep the whole night. The next morning, and he was suffering, really suffering. You see, asthma exists in the body. The body is there and it exists if you're at this level. Next morning when the Swamis came to offer their pranams, they found him sitting with an absolutely serene face and a faint smile. Swami, aren't you suffering? And he says, look at the dualistic language he uses. He says, last night Baba Vishwanath, Shiva in Benares, he came and he made the two separate. I can see a lot of smiles coming up because you can understand now what he means. Can you understand with these two? Here is the body of Shivananda with asthma and suffering. But in all of that, am I not there? Do I not exist? Is the isness not there? And does the isness have asthma? No. It is the isness, it's the witness of the asthma. It is the very ground which enables the body with its asthma and is not asthma to exist. Everything that we experience in the universe depends on your experience, upon you. You are there, the universe is revealed to you. The presence of all things in the universe depends on you. Even when they're absent, all things are absent. The very experience of the absence of everything depends on you. In both cases, you are there. He says, Duto alada kore, the two have been separated. We understand what it means. He's talking about it in a dualistic sense, that the Lord Shiva came and he separated the pure being from the body-mind. Now body-mind still there, still asthma, still suffering. But I also have this within me. That lady who said, is there something within me the cancer has not touched? There is. That isness. Does that have cancer? No. No. It works, I tell you. I will not reveal completely, but recently somebody got in touch with me over Skype. So many people write. So somebody got in touch with me over Skype and said, I would like to speak with you. And usually I put them off because there's too much. There are too many people coming, trying to speak or having questions. Then this person, lady, she wrote back saying that, I don't have time. I'm dying of cancer. Can I speak with you? And I said, of course, I will speak with you. And then we had a series of conversations. I will not reveal details about the person because it's privacy. We had a series of conversations. I don't know who was helped more, her or me. The dignity, the calmness, the strength, the only thing, she never discussed pain or suffering or treatment, nothing. I could see that she was disappearing day by day. And her caretaker told me that she has only a few hours to live, maybe a few days, a few hours to live. And all she asked was about non-dual Vedanta philosophy, about Buddhist philosophy, about how to remain centered as the body. You know. I still remember she was saying that maybe I think probably I'm going to die. She realized that very soon. I said, but no, that within you, the real you, you are immortal. Is that not so? And she burst. It's like a cloud, you know, a sun coming out from behind the clouds. A smile which she gave, and she said, that's true, Swami, I am immortal. And she spoke that language of watching the change, this great change in her life. And a few days before I came here, her caregiver, she wrote back saying that yesterday she passed away in great serenity. She said, I'm glad I was there when she passed away because there was such calmness and peace and light in that room. I held on to her hand and she calmly went into a kind of deep quietness, maybe a meditation, and then she was gone. It works. It actually works. In the greatest of blows, death, let alone small disappointments, suffering, it works. He says, make it a habit to see the isness. That Swami said, make it a habit, make your vision like that your vision penetrates through name and form to the isness, like the X-ray penetrates through flesh and blood to the bones, to the very bones, penetrate through to the very bones of reality, which is pure existence, which is what you are. Then, based on that, when you look back upon life, you have no problems. There are problems. There are problems in the society, there are problems at the level of the body, there are problems at the level of the mind. You can deal with them from a position of complete security. Wittgenstein used to say that religion is a search for perfect security. Vedanta says to that, it is possible. a place of perfect security exists. That's the real you. I'll take questions. Yes.
Please wait for the microphone.
Please wait for the microphone. There's a lady there. Before she asks a question, let me, as promised, quickly run through the 7 points of this commentary. Don't worry, one sentence each. I won't take too much of your time. Entire universe is an effect, the cause of which is pure existence, which you are. Effects are false. That pure existence alone is true. Brahma satyam jagat mithya. Brahman is real, the world is false. And what are you? You are Brahman. Jiva brahmaiva napara. 1. 2. All effects are born and they die. That means they come into existence and they go out of existence. That means existence comes into them, so to say, and existence is lost by them. Which means none of the effects have intrinsic existence. Therefore they are false. 3rd, every experience of our lives, all our experience without exception, have 2 aspects. One aspect is name and form. The other aspect is existence. To put it more simply, one aspect is the world, the other aspect is God. You are never not experiencing God. When Vivekananda says never approach anything except as God, he's not being rhetorical. He has never been more literal in his life. God is available to us in every experience. You just need the eyes to see. That's the 3rd point. And what a point it is. Then 4th, existence is not a part of this world. Existence is that which lends reality to the world and all its parts. 4th point. 5th point. When all objects are destroyed, suppose no thing is there, then existence still continues. You cannot perceive it. You cannot experience it. That's the 5th point. Then the 6th point is, how does this world exist in Brahman? He says, like water in a mirage. Really there is no water. It appears there. Really there is no blue in the sky. It appears there. It looks like that. Really there is no snake in the rope. It appears there. There is no world in you. You are unlimited pure existence. But it appears in you. You are God playing hide and seek with himself. Yeah. Pretending not to be yourself. And the last point is, remember the X-ray example. How do you live life? What do you practice? Practice dwelling in the isness. X-ray vision. Superman's vision. See through the names and forms in every experience. Question?
Swami, I'm very new to Vedanta, and I just have a question.
Put it next to your mouth so we can hear.
Because I feel that as I know, that universe is based on it's physics and mathematics, and it's all this vibration. And my question is about love, because in my opinion, God is God, or God is God. That's what I feel, and I have always with myself and with many people around me have this problem about love. Because if somebody loves somebody doesn't love anymore somebody dies, and everybody suffers because of love.
Right.
Is love really real, or is it effect or cause, or it isness, or how to deal with this?
Right. So your question is actually about love and its relationship to its position in Vedanta. Love as a feeling in the mind, as an emotion. It's an emotion in the mind. It's a very positive emotion. It's a wonderful thing. But it also comes and goes. Even two persons who love each other the most, imagine the strongest love that exists between a mother and her baby. There's no greater love than that, really. And yet that when that mother goes to sleep, she forgets the world, she forgets herself, she forgets even the most precious thing in the world, her baby. And she goes happily into sleep. So love, just as a feeling, is a feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. It's maybe the best of all feelings, and it's the motive of the noblest of aspirations in human life. But it's at the level of this. Names and forms. Supported by the isness. Now, is there no deeper dimension to love? When you say love is God, is it a meaningless statement? Is it rhetorical? No, it is not. In the deepest sense in Vedanta, love is God. Because that's one part we did not talk about. What you call love is this Ananda. The deepest metaphysically understood idea of love is bliss. That thing expressed in human relationships is love. So, love at its root is none other than Brahman. It's just called Ananda there, the bliss. But that love is different from is in certain senses different from the human experience of love, in the sense our experience of love is limited to persons. There are persons we love, there are many persons we do not love, many persons we dislike, many persons we are indifferent to. That's human love. But when this one is realized as your real nature, there is nobody and nothing in the world that you will not love. Because everything in the universe is an expression of your love. Everything in the universe is an expression of the love of God. Expressed in dualistic language. This is metaphysical, non-dualistic language. So yes, the answer to your question is both at the human level, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. It can come and go, and it can cause immense suffering. Remember, anything that has the power to make you happy has also the power to make you suffer. That which has the power to make you happy in a great extent can make you suffer in a great extent also. And human love does that. Human love does that. What's the solution to it? Should you stop loving? No. No. Vedanta does not teach us to become unfeeling bricks and stones in a wall. Holy Mother said, my child, Ma Sharada, she said, my child, love God. If you love a human being, it's guaranteed that you will suffer. What does that mean? Should we not love human beings and then love some abstraction called God? No. Where do you find this isness? Where? Everywhere. In which person? In every person. If you're going to love God in every person, you will actually end up loving everybody deep within. It will be a kind of impersonal love, not limited to one being and not exclusive. It's open to everybody. It's open to everybody. You love everybody, and I would dare say you love everybody equally. Because actually there is no everybody for you. It's one Brahman, one God that you are loving. In the dualistic religions, they will say, I love everybody because I see my Krishna in everybody. Everybody is a manifestation of my Krishna. I see in the heart of everybody Krishna. I've seen such people. I've actually seen such people. Sab Gopale, one Mataji told me in the Himalayas, all are my baby Krishna. And it's not imagination, it's become real for her. That which is put in dualistic language, this one puts in very precise metaphysical language. And also the advantage of that is, if you say everybody is my Krishna, you can easily dismiss it by saying, oh, she's imagining it. She's brainwashed herself into it. But this is not brainwashing. It's just inviting you to have more clarity. He says, you're confused. Now let's come out of confusion. Look at your experience. can you deny that you experience isness all the time? You cannot. I remember speaking with this neuroscientist once. She was sitting on a plane next to me. We had a 2-hour long conversation on a flight in Europe. And I thought she was so interested in Vedanta. Later on, of course, it transpired that she was scared of flying, so she was talking to me. So it diverted. But it was an interesting conversation. She said, I am only nominally Anglican. She was from England. But I don't believe in God. Tell me about your philosophy. So I told her about Vedanta, about this. And you know what she said? Very sharp. She said, Swami, you have not convinced me, but I cannot find any flaw in the argument. It is so elegant and precise, you cannot argue your way out of this. That's the advantage of the non-dualistic approach. Good question.
If the self is consciousness,
yes.
Why do we need sat? Or is consciousness an effect of sat, as is Ananda?
Right. All three are one and the same thing. You say consciousness, why do we need sat? If you remove existence from consciousness, it will become a non-existent consciousness. How's that possible? It's logically impossible. Look at it this way. I'll put it in another way. Look at it as an individual being. All of us want to live, right? Existence. But if I say, okay, you can live, but you'll be in a coma in Mount Sinai or somewhere. No, I don't want to be in a coma. I want to live and I want to be aware. I want to be conscious all the time. Aware. Okay, I say, fine, you can live and you can be aware, but you'll always be miserable. You'll be aware of misery. No, I don't want that. I want to live, I want to be aware, and I want to be happy. Without limit. Everywhere, at all times, in all circumstances. If it is possible at all. Vedanta says, yes, it is possible. In fact, another thing you will see, the very concept of consciousness includes the concept of existence. Because it's meaningless to talk about non-existence consciousness. And the very concept of bliss includes both consciousness and existence. You can't be in bliss without being conscious of it. I'm very happy, but I don't know it. No. Are you happy? Quite, I'm tremendously happy, but I just don't know it. I don't feel it. Meaningless. So happiness depends upon consciousness, and consciousness also depends upon existence. Existence is fundamental. Look at it another way. In all things of the world, we definitely perceive existence, experience existence. Right now? Isn't it true? Mm-hmm. The advantage of approaching the whole problem of Brahman as existence is because existence is perceived in everything. You may try to argue that everything is conscious, but you don't know that. Look at the experience of your life. Where is the only place that you find consciousness? Tell me. Tell me. No, just look around. Don't try to look for a correct answer. Just report what you're finding right now. Where do you find existence? First question. Where? Everywhere. You're sitting in the middle of an ocean of existence. Everything exists. Second question. Where do you find consciousness right now? Awareness? In you. In you. You say, Swami, isn't the next person sitting next to me not conscious? Are they zombies? They could very well be conscious, but you are not experiencing their consciousness. The way you feel awareness, first person within you right now. This is in fact called the hard problem of consciousness in consciousness studies. A few decades ago, a philosopher in Australia, David Chalmers, he said the real problem of consciousness is how do we have this inner experience of awareness? How do we see? How do we hear? Not the biological question, just the feeling, the experience. How does this come about? No machine can duplicate this. So he says this is called the hard problem of consciousness. And from then on, this has become the central focus of consciousness studies for the last 25 years. And I went to this conference in NYU, and who do I meet? David Chalmers himself. He is the head of the Mind, Brain and Consciousness unit in New York University. And I remember asking a question, and David Chalmers pointed out, the guy in orange, let him ask a question. So consciousness, you find only in yourself, nowhere else, directly, right now. You can infer it. This person talks like me, walks like me, so must be conscious like me. But you don't experience it. It's called the problem of other minds in philosophy. And where do you experience bliss? Happiness. You will say, in me. All the time? In only certain aspects of conscious thinking. When the mind is in a particularly nice state, you feel happiness, bliss. Vedanta says, all things in the universe borrow existence from you, Brahman. The mind itself within you borrows both existence and consciousness from you, Brahman. And the mind in a particularly sattvic state borrows existence, consciousness and bliss from you, Brahman. You yourself, in yourself, you are limitless existence, consciousness and bliss. These are not effects of each other. They are not even properties of Brahman. They are Brahman. Vivekananda said, it's not that the absolute exists, it is existence itself. It's not that it has consciousness, it is consciousness. He used the word knowledge. It is knowledge itself. It's not that it's happy, it is bliss itself. Now we begin to understand what is meant by Brahman is not a thing which is. You cannot write Brahman is. It's a wrong statement. Philosophically speaking, you cannot. Because what is Brahman? It's this isness. Brahman is not a thing which exists. All things exist borrowing existence from Brahman. This is the way we talk about Satchidananda. There was this book by David Bentley Hart. He is an Eastern Orthodox theologian in the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church. This book is a polemic against the new atheists. Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris and so on. He says when they are all against the existence of God and they make fun of religion and all of that. And this David Bentley Hart says, this is not fair because you are criticizing a straw man, the most crude theory in religion, that there is a separate God who exists like a super person existing. It's easy to knock out that theory. But this is not what the religions of the world at core they are saying. You should go to the core of the religious traditions of the world. And his claim is, in all of them, you will find at the core that they are making this extraordinary claim that there is an infinite existence, consciousness, bliss. And the names of the chapters in this book written by Christian theologian are Sat, Chit, Ananda. Yes. He says it's most clearly expressed in the Hindu Vedantic philosophy, but he says it is found in Islam, in Judaism, in Christianity, in Buddhism also, in very different language, in very different mythology. But the philosophy is most clear in Vedanta, which brings us back to Alan Watts. The Hindus have the inside dope. Tell us when we run out of time, yes, and we'll come to you.
Let me see if I can frame the question properly. It's actually Shankaracharya. The seventh point, Shankaracharya to write, see reality, because in Sanskrit, because if you, when I'm, this goes back to your other lectures. I mean, you said you can't really see yourself because when I'm looking for the is.
Yes.
Then actually, am I not looking for myself?
Yes, you are.
And then how, that's where I get confused, and then how do I get out of that?
No, please repeat the question.
Yeah. When I'm looking for, this is, I'm looking for myself. Just how
True.
I am is.
True.
But I cannot, then I start looking at it as an object.
No. You're looking at an object borrowing the isness from yourself. This isness, a good question. This isness is not an object. Remember, man, woman, fan, house, city, ocean, atoms, mountains, all of them are objects of experience. And in all of them you find isness. They all exist. But if you remove the objective component, what will happen to that isness?
It's still there.
Still there, but is it there or here?
Oh.
Is the isness out here in the world or is it in there? If you concentrate, you will begin to feel the isness is me, it's not there. I remember this intense experience I had in the monastery in Belur, where I was teaching this, and a young novice, he excitedly, it stood up, because you see in this verse, nowhere it is directly said, you are that isness. From the context you have to get it, because the whole context is how do we endure pain and suffering? What am I which makes me endure pain and suffering? So you are the pure isness. When we are talking about this young novice, a brahmachari, he got up excitedly and he said, but Maharaj, then that isness, I am that isness. I said, yes, you are that isness. His face was so bright and excited, and it's quite amazing. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. 48 hours later, he was dead. Yes. They thought he drowned in the Ganges. But I have a different theory. Don't worry, it's not fatal in the enlightenment. Two more questions? I'll come to, okay, I'll then come to you. He's got the mic already. Yeah. After that.
Swamiji, the isness is in my consciousness. I think I can remember a wonderful poetry line by Rabindranath where he says, Amari Chetona Range Panna Holo Sobuj,
Yes.
Suryo Hoye Utlo Ranga. Maybe you can explain that.
Yes, that's from the point of view of consciousness. That's from Rabindranath Tagore's poem. So the ruby is red. My consciousness colors the ruby red and the emerald green. What it basically means is, it's in my consciousness that everything gets its existence. We'll see in the meditation today how we are oceans of existence and consciousness, in which the entire universe, all of this, they are waves in the ocean that you are. You are not a body. You're not even just a mind. All bodies and minds and things of the universe are but waves arising and floating and playing around. Mai ananta mahambodho. In me, the infinite ocean of existence. Now we can all understand just like that. This is the highest Advaita from Ashtavakra Gita. Mai ananta mahambodho. In me, the infinite ocean of existence. Ashcharyam jiva vichaya. How wonderful are these the waves which are these individual beings. Udyanti, gnanti, khelanti, pravishanti, swabhavata. They are born in me as babies. They come up. And they play, khelanti, they play with each other. One Swami in the Himalayas was quoting this verse and he said, they play with each other, nanti, they clash with each other, they fight with each other. And the Swami was saying, they play with each other, I love you, and then getting married, and then gnanti, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to divorce you. They are all me. They are all me. Pravishanti swabhavata, and the waves subside back into death. They all subside back into the ocean that I am. Yes.
well, Swami, I heard some very good, tight arguments for existence and consciousness.
Yes.
The 7 points that you made. That was a very good logical presentation.
Yes.
But when you got around to Ananda, all I heard was some conclusory assumptions based on anecdotes.
Yes.
Now, when the pessimist steps forward, he would say, no, life is fundamentally sad and pessimistic. And now my question is, how do you respond to that?
Right. The Vedantic approach, the ultimate reality is always defined as bliss. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Our inner nature is bliss. I remember Viktor Frankl. I saw this documentary, so that's why I'm referring to it. I was so thrilled when he used this language. Being bliss is meaning, is ultimate meaning. Your very existence, which is also the very existence is bliss. And this being bliss, hyphenated, is meaning in life. It's a very profound statement I found. Translated into Vedanta, it becomes Sat and Ananda is ultimate meaning in life. Swami Vivekananda says, truth, knowledge, and the bliss that follows both. It is the very experience of your infinite existence and consciousness which is bliss. But Brahman itself is defined as bliss. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, Anandam Brahmati Prajanat. Know Brahman to be bliss. Now coming to your question, it's interesting when you come to the post-Upanishadic philosophies. Without a fail, they seem to be dark and gloomy and pessimistic. Buddhism starts with the fundamental assertion, Sarvam Dukkham. Everything is suffering. Everything is suffering. You say, no, that's too much. There's some joy and a lot of suffering. Well, then Buddhism has not begun for you. Swami Tapasyananji, it seems, used to say that Buddhism is a serious religion. You first, from the very beginning, you have to be convinced that everything without exception is suffering. Suffering is suffering, enjoyment is suffering. All of it is suffering to begin with. But not just Buddhism. Jainism. If you look at the classical Hindu philosophies, Nyaya. What is the goal of spiritual life? It is to be delivered from suffering. Vaisheshika, what is the goal of spiritual life? It's to bring an end to suffering. Sankhya, what is the goal of spiritual life? Pestered, afflicted by the 3 kinds of suffering. The suffering inflicted by nature, suffering inflicted by other beings, and internal suffering from our own minds and bodies. Afflicted by 3 kinds of sufferings. All human beings are seeking for a cessation of suffering. It does not even say they're seeking joy. They're just seeking relief from suffering. And ultimately they find only in spiritual life can a final end to suffering be found. Sankhya, yoga. What happens in enlightenment? You are separated from the universe, from Prakriti, from nature. You remain as pure consciousness. No mention of Ananda. You remain as pure awareness in serenity. No positive bliss there. So all these post-Upanishadic philosophies, they concentrated on suffering and an end to suffering. That was what spirituality was about. But Vedanta is constantly, without fail, asserts that positive bliss is to be found and your real nature is bliss. In fact, the entire universe, misperceived suffering, truly understood bliss. Entire universe, there are waves and waves of bliss. You say, I don't see it this way. I see it as crime and terrible suffering and the most horrible things in the world. You are on this side of the ignorance. Once we cross over and see the reality as it is and see yourself as it is, you see the underlying bliss whose expressions are pleasure and pain. Whose expressions are pleasure and pain. Right. I'll come to you. One more point. You go further down into the bhakti philosophies which come. About 1,000 years back, 1,500 years back, the philosophies of love, dualistic philosophies, and they are all without exception philosophies of ananda, bliss. The presence of Krishna, of the Divine Mother, Kali or Durga or Ram or whatever, the God-oriented religions, especially in Hinduism, they are all religions of love, and when there's love, there's bliss. So this is the answer which I'm giving you, the question of bliss versus suffering. Yeah. Last question.
Maharaj, there is this easiness in everything.
Yes.
And you mentioned also that...
I'm sorry to interrupt, I'll say, let me stick to the Vedantic party line. You say, our natural expression is there is easiness in everything. Vedanta will say, no, there is everything in easiness.
That's fine. And then you say, I am also that existence. Then to experience that easiness,
yes,
I need myself,
yes,
and the easiness.
Yes.
So in the kind of a duality there, something like this?
No. To experience myself, I do not need myself and isness. According to Vedanta, myself is the isness. And to experience this isness, I need body, mind, world, universe, if you want to experience it. If God, again, back to that profound little story, if God wants to play hide and seek, then God needs somebody to play hide and seek with. But there's nobody else. There's only isness. How will that isness see itself? So it needs a mirror. It needs something which will reflect itself back to it. So it needs things. In the existence of things, pure existence experiences itself. Let me put it that way. God disguises himself as not God, as you and me and all, and hence God experiences himself. Only problem is God was so good at it, God forgot that God is God. And God began to think that God is Swami Sarvapriyananda, God is Dr. Naik, and then samsara starts. Whereas what Vedanta immediately reintroduces God to God. In fact, the Kashmiri Shaiva philosophy is called enlightenment recognition. Pratyabhigya, recognition. You suddenly recognize yourself and everybody else and this entire universe as that limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, which you are.
Swamiji, the famous slok, Ananda Rupang Amritam Shivoham.
Yes. I am bliss. So, thank you very much.